Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're back here with the Rumour Mill. And what day are we on? It is Wednesday. It is this Wednesday edition. I hope you're all doing very, very well indeed. Listen, we go with the rough and tumble in life, don't we? I've had a bit of rough news over the last couple of days. But listen, we move, don't we? We carry on with the rumour. I do have to apologise for the lateness of the rumour mill. I hate when consistency is interrupted. I really do. But listen, life does get in the way, doesn't it, everybody? So I'm sure you can all appreciate that. And you've all been through certain things as well. So I really appreciate your support. Yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe as well. We have Patreon bits over there, but we have some rumors to delve into today. What I will say, everybody, is just keep on tune with what the rumor mill exactly is. It isn't the confirmation bias. I give my opinion on exactly what is going on with the club at this moment in time, how Leeds United are steadied for this transfer window, what's happening with incomings and outgoings, I should say. And I simply give my opinion on those things. What I'm not doing on here, if I hear things, I will come on here. And, when you cover the club, you are quite lucky enough that, so you do establish some contacts. And obviously the world that I'm from, I have established some contacts as well. So I will share them with you on here if it is on the record. But listen, I'm not confirming any sort of transfers here. We will confirm transfers, of course, but it is the rumour mill. Listen to the name. I will say that. I have some people complaining, why are you not telling us the news, the transfer news, the confirmation news? Well, it's called the rumour mill, everybody. That's the quota of the show. So, yes, I hope you're all doing really well. Get your comments in. I can see there's already 600 of you in the building, you magnificent lot. Please slap a like on the video before we get into the stream, everybody, as well. Really, really appreciate your constant support, as I always say on this. We've got bits to get into. I've got player profiles to get over to you guys. I've got discussion points, and I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below right now. So I can see loads of you are in the building. Blooming, I couldn't expect this. So yeah, shout out to you. Let me see a few comments off the bat. Gifted, thank you, Leon. I've just seen that, mate. Thanks so much, buddy. AJR Gamer, hope you're okay. Connor Furport, our new winger. After Boss Nass says, afternoon, Connor. Hurry, says Thomas. No major move at post Euros. Hi, everyone, says Mike says, afternoon, Connor. It feels like something is brewing at Leeds United. You could be right, buddy. You could be right indeed. So, yeah, let's get into it anyway. What we're going to be speaking about today. So, Joe Rodon is something that I wanted to speak about. It's something I've been sort of like holding since yesterday. Now, once again, rumors, and I think rumors sort of comprise of many different things, don't they? Little bits that you've heard, this, that, and the other. And as I've said on several things, people are like, oh, you're an ITK. I'm not an ITK. I barely come on here and tell you guys anything of which I've heard from behind the scenes. But interestingly enough, there is stuff going on with Rodon, which I can say. And I think at this moment in time, Leeds have a few options that they're looking at now. I think as a club, we thought that it was going to be a case of Leeds were going to go into this and we're going to sign Joe Rodon straight away. Now, the window opens extremely soon. As we know, it is going to be Friday. And Leeds are very much keeping their options open when it comes to Joe Rodon. And as I've said throughout the entire season, who's going to be the problem in this whole thing? I always said that if it comes to a transfer fee with Daniel Levy, it is going to be a problem. He is the most ruthless businessman that we've probably got in the game, to be quite honest with you, that we've probably got in the game. Sorry, I'm just getting myself on screen, everybody, here, so I can read out your comment. Hello, Connor. Nice lunchtime show whilst eating an egg sandwich. Shout out to you, mate. Yeah, so from what I understand anyway, there is maybe a little bit of discourse with regards to money. Now, what do we know about Joe Rodon? He extended that contract. He was supposed to be out of contract within the month. So it was going to be 2024. And in a month's time, he was going to be out of his contract. But Tottenham activated a clause in his contract, which meant that he was going to be there and sign a contract inevitably till 2025. Now, that is still a year left on his contract. That shouldn't be a lot of money to get him out of that. But we know who is at the top of this chain when it comes to monetary gain. We know that the head honcho at Tottenham Hotspur, as I've just mentioned previously, is a ruthless businessman when it comes to getting the best for your buck. Yeah. So it's well worth keeping an eye on that. It's well worth keeping an eye on how Leeds are going to go about this. Are we going to look at alternatives? I would probably, if I'm to be a guessing man now, I would say, I would I would lean on caution when it comes to Joe Rodon, not because of Joe Rodon himself, but probably because of the top wigs at Tottenham Hotspur. Wigs, probably the wrong word for Daniel Levy being bald, but there we go. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough maybe for Leeds throughout this window to agree a fee potentially for Joe Rodon because of the man at the top who has seen his asset play 50 games. He's seen his asset play very, very well. And I think Levy and co at Tottenham Hotspur may look at some alternatives and wait and see what happens at Spurs when it comes to outgoings, see what happens at Spurs when it comes to incomings, and then make a decision. This isn't what we want because this is one of those where you want to get this done quickly. Leeds need to get this done now. 15th, 16th, 17th, whatever, before the Euros. He's not involved in the Euros, which has helped us massively. Joe Rodon, signed, sealed, delivered, his hours, baby. That would be perfect. But from what I'm hearing, money could be a bit of a problem here. And that's not from the Leeds side. I've heard this from. So listen, could be wrong, could be completely false, but it would maybe back what I've been saying on the channel for about a year now when it's come to Joe Rodon, his contract, but the guy in charge of his contract who, listen, they bought Joe Rodon and expected big things from him. You know, they got him on a 4-year deal with a potential to get him on a 5-year deal, an extension to a 5-year deal. They expected big things from this lad when they signed him in 2020 from Swansea. It's not gone the way that they wanted it to go. But as I've mentioned previously, Mourinho's looking at him at Fenerbahce. You will definitely be looking at clubs across Europe in the top divisions looking at Joe Rodon. 100%. We know that the top of the championship, which Joe Rodon is when it comes to centre-backs, the top of the championship can definitely transition into top European leagues. We all know that. Mourinho and Rodon apparently had a very, very decent relationship at Spurs. Maybe Tottenham are just keeping their cards close to the chest and keeping any option open, which is a businessman. I can completely understand when it comes to Levy. But as we've said throughout the season, everybody, this, in my opinion, when they activated that year extension for Rodon, was always going to be tough. Was always going to be tough with who you're negotiating with because he always squeezes the last bit of juice out of a transfer. And the 49ers may not have come across a businessman like Daniel Levy before. He's extremely unique. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out. So I'm not for one saying that this is it. Leeds are done. We're never going to see him at the club. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But Leeds might have to just play the cards cleverly here. They might have to play a little bit of chess with Daniel Levy and wait and see how this one pans out over the window. As Appy said there, you remember the Kane saga. There's plenty of sagas when it comes to that Mr. Levy at the top of the club, and he's an astute businessman, and he's one of the best operators in the game. So as I've said multiple times, everybody, don't want to repeat myself, but he'll see the success of Joe Rodon this season. And you know, if Leeds are maybe going with, if we're being realistic, if Leeds are going with he's got 1 year left on his deal. If Leeds are going to them and saying, look, we'll pay 5 or 6 million quid, he ain't gonna. That's nothing to Daniel Levy for a player. It's nothing. So I think Leeds are going to have to spend, in my opinion, upwards of 12 million quid. That would not surprise me whatsoever. And with 1 year left on his deal, is that something Leeds should be doing? He's an immaculate player at this level. He's definitely someone who can transition into the Premier League with Leeds United. He knows the club. He knows the manager. He's accustomed to the brilliant support that we have. He played under pressure exceptionally well. He developed as a centre-back over the year. But as much as that's positive, it's also a big negative for Leeds because the eyes are drawn on our football club way too much and our best players way too much because we are always one of the biggest draws, if not the biggest draw on television. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So there's a lot of people talking about, you know, how much they'd pay for him. Hello all, says James. Afternoon, Carol. Finally got alive. Remember the Kane saga. Yeah, so keep getting your comments in, everybody. Fantastic to Oh, I'm out of focus. I hope I'm not out of focus. I'm out of focus, everybody. What I'm going to do is if I'm out of focus, I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick, right? Here we go. You don't get this on other channels, right? You ready? Bear with me. Gosh. There you go, everybody. A little trick. Is that better? Is that better? There we go. Listen, I'm not just gonna ignore you guys. You say I'm out of focus. I'm out of focus. I'm not doing this for half an hour. I need to be on here with you guys. And is that better? Are we all good now? Apologies for that. My camera shouldn't have done that, but it has. Look at that. Is that a little bit better? But yeah, let me know, everybody, in the comment section below. There you go. That's professionalism, isn't it? Okay, he ain't Ben White. We can replace him. Can we give them Verba plus cash? 49ers extra money is nothing, says Amy. Yeah, I think Leeds have got to go about this in the right way, haven't they? They've got to go about this in the right way, and I think we've got to all bear in mind as a fan base that if Joe isn't to sign, it's not cataclysmic. It's not the end of the world. I do personally think that it would be a really good addition for Leeds. It's not, look, we're not talking about things that haven't happened right now. We know Joe Rodon is a magnificent defender at this level. The money is going to be a problem with Leeds. It's going to be, I think, throughout this window, the 49ers money will help 100%. They've said that it's going to aid things on the pitch, but guys, that doesn't mean we are going to be, perfect on every level when it comes to monetary stuff. It is a tough league when it comes to restrictions, constraints, and we've got to be really realistic here. We've got to be realistic about what we're looking at. Leeds can't be going out and spending 12 to, in my opinion, plus 12 million quid on a centre back. They can't. You don't get many teams doing that at this level. We still owe money back. The parachute payments have reduced by 18% this season. We've got to be realistic here. Now, there are wonderful defenders out there. There's still wonderful defenders at Tottenham that we could pinch, to be quite honest with you. I've mentioned them on several videos. I really wouldn't turn around if we're not to get Joe Rodon and have a bit of an existential crisis. But I do think this one's going to play out throughout the summer, which is not what we need. It is not what we need. We need to get almost these assurances, the ones that we've had that season, and we're going to have this, you want in that following succession. But it is Ben White, isn't it? It feels very Ben White. Rodon's not of the level of Ben White, but it feels very Ben White, as in how this is going to drag out. Manjeet Sashi Phillips, a good deal to get done. Evening from Adelaide. Hi, Dave. Hi, Connor. Caught you live for the first time in ages. Thanks for the content. No problem. Hope you're good. Don't you think 15 million is a fair price? Kenny says, morning from Wisconsin. Y'all at 49ers won't be pushed or bullied by anyone. Just have to be patient. Focus is better. Good man, mate. Yeah, so I think that's the thing, isn't it? And we know with them they won't be bullied. This is an astute organization, and they've now got the backing of Red Bull, who are also a very astute organization, who are everywhere when it comes to globalization and branding. Red Bull 49ers will not be bullied. And yeah, it's going to be tough if we don't get Joe, but I think there's still a deal there to be done. But from what I know, and you do not have to believe this, this is also from the Tottenham side, from people over there who I think are decent. Money could be a problem. That's it, right? So there you go. 15 million quid for Joe Rodon at this level, I personally think is too much. I think that's too much money from my perspective. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, you'll all see on screen 15 million quid, and you might be you might be relating that, I should say, to Joe Rodon. You might be thinking to yourself, well, Connor, is 15 million quid, the problem with, blowing Leeds United out the water? Well, it's actually not. It's actually not the purpose of this video. Now, Leeds United, there's been a lot of conversations, obviously, about Chrysos Somerville leaving the club. But there's also been conversations about Willie Gnonto leaving the club. Now, there is a player at Stuttgart at this moment in time, Silas, pronounced by his first name, which many footballers are nowadays. I remember it was Hernandez. What was his name? Little P, Hernandez. They'd always pronounce his first name. Ronaldo R9. It was always his first name. Two really similar players there, Connor. But yeah, it'd be the first names how they're pronounced, wasn't it? And yeah, that's how they were recognizable. Silas, we'll get him up on screen now. Katumba Movamba. Now, if you can pronounce that when you're drunk, fair play to you guys, but I'll just scoot on over here. Normally, these are done on pre-recorded videos, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an indication of what this guy's all about. He's 19 years of age. His nation is obviously he's Congolese. He plays for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. His position is right wing, but he can play in right midfield as well. Doesn't have to be all out right winger. But he's also a centre forward striker as well. And the reported fee for Leeds United regarding Silas is £10 million. Now, who's he comparable to? You probably can look at Rafael Lau. You can probably look at Yannick Bolasie, two players on the other end of the spectrum. But he feels like a very Watford-esque player, if you get what I mean. Sarr and co, they sort of remind me a little bit of him in terms of his movement. But looks like a quality operator. Now, Leeds, according to Bild, a really decent source, a German outlet. Leeds and Fulham have been chasing him for a while now. And Fulham apparently have had a £15 million bid knocked back. £50 million bid. So, yeah, this is the issue, isn't it? This is the issue with the Championship. This is why you want to get out. And this is why I'll never, ever understand people saying, do you know what, Connor? Do you know what, Joe? He's 25. I tell you what, mate, I was looking on Transfermarkt and it said he was 19. Let me just check this out. Joe could be bang on the money there, and I apologize if that is wrong, everybody. Let me have a quick look here. He is 25. Shout out to you, Joe. Shout out to you, mate. Maybe there's a couple of Silases, but when I was doing the player profile, it said he was 19. So there you go. 25 years of age, which at least gives him a little bit more experience. I was noticing when I was looking at his a little couple of compilations there, it was saying that he was playing in 2021 for Stuttgart. And I was looking and thinking, if he was 19, that'd take him to 16, 17. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there you go. That does clear it up for me, to be honest with you. But listen, we can't profess to know a lot about him. You guys might know a lot about him, but when you see him and you see, a couple of YouTube clips on him, which is all we can go on at this moment in time. If you don't watch him, if you do watch him week in, week out, you're a liar, unless you're a Stuttgart/Bundesliga fan. But he looks very, very similar to sort of your Willy Gnontos in terms of fronting up a player, being direct. He knows how to pick a pass, a very, very decent operator when it comes into that central space as well. He likes to drop deep. Now, would that be a bit of an awkward issue when it comes to Jorginho Rutter, potentially, in terms of being dropping deep, picking the ball up, but he can operate wide right, which is going to be a massive beneficiary to Leeds United if, let's say, a Willy Gnonto was to move on. He's played on the left as well before, so he can operate anywhere behind that striker, which is advantageous to Leeds United, of course. But this is the whole issue. Listen, we can talk about rumours, but we have to talk around the rumours and the real logistical standpoint around this and why it can be an issue, because we can get blown out of the water. And this is the whole issue as well when it comes to Archie Gray. And it's all relatable because money is such a huge, huge thing at Championship level. Profit and sustainability is massive. You're working within and around those constraints, as I've mentioned several times. If a Premier League club is to offer 15 million quid for Joe Rodon, if a Premier League club is able to offer 15 million quid for Silas, we can't compete. You can't compete. We can look at the grandeur, the size, the prestige, the tradition, the history of Leeds United, and you can sell that as a product. But when it comes to monetary value, Leeds can't do anything about it. It's not one of those things where you think, oh, the Red Bull have come in now, let's do it. It's like, it's not the way of the world, unfortunately. And with those reductions in parachute payments, the 49ers and Red Bull will be working together to, sort of increase the capacity when it comes to wages, when it comes to transfer fees. But spending that money will just kill you in the long run. So we can't, in my opinion, do that. It's not one of those things where you really sort of elevate Leeds United's plethora on the pitch when it comes to that. And listen, what I will say is we saw a hell of a lot last season that you can do business in and around the Championship. You can do business in and around the Championship that can massively elevate your squad. But I've also mentioned several times before, and me and Cage have had this conversation several times, go to the continent. Go to the Spanish Second League. Go to the Bundesliga Second League and pick up Ayo Tanaka, who we were speaking about on the channel a year ago. You know, there are absolute gems everywhere. Who'd heard of Emi Buendia? Who'd heard of Elias Share? You know, who'd heard of Samu Saiz? All of these number 10 profiles that are technically superb and can transition into a championship standard. These are all available on the continent. You can do that 100%. There are bargains everywhere. Bologna seem to be doing it at this moment in time in terms of just picking gems out from Europe. Atalanta have done it for years for good price. You do not have to be ripped off. And this is the whole conversation when it comes to sentiment when you're talking about Rodon. How many centre backs out there could potentially replicate what Joe Rodon gives on a consistent basis, but you can get them for a hell of a lot cheaper? How many? I'd say there are a few. It's not just Joe Rodon alone. But Silas, who we were just speaking about then, 25 years of age, fits the profile absolutely perfectly. Looks like a lovely player, but he's played in the Bundesliga. He's played in the Bundesliga for however many years now. How realistic is it? He might have transitioned into Bundesliga too. Actually, I'm not quite sure if Stuttgart have been relegated or a part of that structure now, or have been there and come back up or whatever. But it's one of those where we've just got to be really careful in terms of expectation, I think. And that's where, I see myself as a little bit of a realist when it comes to Leeds. I don't see myself as a negative individual. I just see myself as someone who looks at it at face value and says, well, there needs to be criticism there. There doesn't need to be criticism there. So when I'm looking at Leeds on a general scope right now, I want the fans to not get too negative and downbeat about certain transfers that might come in and might come in and might not come in. Because Leeds, I think, are going to do really decent business here, but they're going to be smart. They're going to be smart. And a £15 million bid, trying to battle with that with a Premier League side, for me, is there's just no real reason. As Joe said there, Stuttgart have qualified for the Champions League. Well informed there, Joe. What are we looking at here? What are we looking at? Are we going to be able to prize someone like that away from Stuttgart at the level that we're at? It's just not going to happen, is it? It's just not going to happen. So I think the Silas one is obviously a little bit of a non-rumor. I don't understand why maybe we've gone down that route. But we're going down that route. It could be agent talk, as we've mentioned several times on here. This is just the rumour mill, everybody. But another one that is something that I wanted to discuss is Alaya Gruev. This isn't going away. Fact. So it's something that we all know anyway, isn't it? It's something that we are all sort of well aware of in terms of maybe transfer out of Leeds United. Yeah, this is going on in the background. Dortmund are sort of looking at him and are well aware of the price tag. They are aware that this is going to be something that would help Leeds United. So I think they've been a bit scrupulous with the bid at this moment in time and are testing Leeds a little bit in terms of conversation. Be fascinating to see how that one develops. It seems like that one right now, when it comes to money and it comes to money coming into Leeds United, is really the only solid link, maybe apart from Charlie Cresswell and Toulouse for £3 to £4 million. These are the only ones that we're really talking about right now in terms of actual transfer fees that are potentially getting to maybe a decent stage of negotiation. Crysencio Somerville seems to be a lot of paper talk. Anfield, a lot of Anfield watch. The Chronicle at Newcastle have all spoken about Crysencio Somerville being a target for Newcastle, being a target for Liverpool. But that's all it is. When it comes to Alaya Gruev and when it comes to Charlie Cresswell, there seems to be a little bit more in the motion of money, and when it comes to maybe conversation behind the scenes. Gruev is someone who I think is replaceable. Charlie Cresswell, I've mentioned on the a bit of discussion the other day that I'm maybe a little bit more confused about Charlie Cresswell if we aren't to get another centre. But I still think Charlie could do a job at this level when it comes to cover. We've spoken previously on the channel about Ipswich, Sunderland, Coventry, all been in for him, and now you're getting still, top. I'd say still top clubs in Europe looking at him as well. Wouldn't it be all right just to have us cover? And then we're not complaining too much about the cover of centre backs and that transition away from, certain centre backs here, there, and everywhere. If Cooper was to go, if Cresswell was to go, if Rodon was to go, you're left with one. How many transitional elements can we have in one transfer window? We've got to be really cautious here. We can't just play Football Manager and get rid of everybody. I think that's something that we all need to keep in mind as well. It's not Football Manager. It's not FIFA. You can't get rid of an entire back line, even though there's going to be a lot of transformation with Leeds United's back line. Look, we can't be we can't be getting rid of the entire team and just rebuilding and expecting to go up as top two. That's why I'm maybe a little bit reluctant to say right now Leeds are going to be going up top two, winning the division. Because how do you know? How's the squad going to look? Are we going to have a Joe Rodon? Are we going to have a Crasesio Somerville? Are we going to have a Willie Nyonto? Are we going to have a Pat Bamford? What are we going to look like? Are we going to have a Matteo Joseph? What are we going to have going into next season? Kerry says, I expect the 49ers and Red Bull to search for quality, good value players. And you'd expect that. You'd expect the links to be pretty decent, wouldn't you? You'd expect the links to be highly decent. You look at, from Poulsen and co at Leipzig, it has been an absolute, from whatever you say about Red Bull, the strategy, the analysts, the recruitment have been nothing short of exceptional. From where Red Bull Leipzig were when they took over to where they are now, it's an astronomical rise. It's extraordinary, really. So the scouting network there, the players that they've developed over the years, has been truly exceptional. So that expertise will be key. And they'll probably be handing a lot of expertise behind the scenes as well, and sort of, having a nice sort of balance and synergy between them and the 49ers, with maybe a Joe Rodon deal, but also identifying 2 or 3 others that can come in. I would expect Leeds to do a lot when it comes to Germany as well. When it comes to Germany, you've got the Farke links there, the Red Bull links there are obviously there as well. A lot of Americans keep a massive eye on the Bundesliga as well. When it comes to recruitment, you look at the Liverpool recruitment as well over the last couple of years. I think it's going to be key to look at that Bundesliga market, I think, and the talent that you can get out there, but the Bundesliga too. As I said, Tanaka was someone who we spoke on the channel a while ago. Obviously, they lost out to Bochum in their playoff final on penalties. Tanaka will now be playing for Dusseldorf, even though they finished third. Some nice comparisons there. In the Bundesliga too, he's a wonderful player, a top player who's going to get you goals from midfield. That's someone who you'd look at. But I just feel that Leeds overall have got to look at the continent as well for technical players, for good value. But we've also got to exploit that loan market, everyone. The loan market for me with Leeds United has been criminally underused for years. Yeah, I know, mate. I know we address this. I think you might be on the cutback there. Shout out to Joe as well, who said that to me. Sometimes on the room mill, everybody, when you're talking about 54 targets a day, it can get lost in translation. So bear with. But yeah, 25 years of age. But yeah, I think we've just got to be careful. We've got to be really careful by how we're thinking about this. The transition is going to be huge. And yeah, we've got to maybe look at loans, utilize that market. There's a lot out there. There's obviously Alfie Gilchrist is a massive talk of a discussion point at this moment in time. There's been several members of the Man City squad and Man United squad and Arsenal squad who are definitely up for loans this season. Can we exploit that? We look at the damage that someone like Amari Hutchinson, a relative unknown, did in the Championship last season when it came to it. Brighton have got 5 keepers at this moment in time, all of which are in high demand. Carl Rushworth being one of them. There's a likelihood that they don't want to sell him. There's a likelihood that he's going to go out on loan again to a team in a better position. There is an absolute transition there. He's been at Swansea, at the lower ebb of the Championship, middle to lower ebb. You go to a better club in the Championship who are going to be pushing for promotion. That is development. Ashley Phillips at Tottenham. It's been at the lower end with Plymouth. Development, Tottenham. Who can we see? Leeds United. Bang. For me, these things all make sense. And these are all things that Leeds United need to be looking at a little bit more. For me, 760 hit the likes. We actually have 1,700 people in, guys. Can we rack this up? You've even seen my technical ability of actually moving around the focus live on screen, and I've been corrected for getting Silas's age wrong. So yeah, there you go. That's what you need to be liking. But no, I'd really appreciate it, mate. Fresh Pickle Video says, I heard Mbappe to Leeds might be on. Is this fact? It is fact, mate. Yeah, he's coming. He is coming. Yeah, please don't take that serious. Xavi Simons on loan, surely. Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, 100%. Get him on loan. Diggler says, apparently Chris said he's happy at Leeds. Could he stay? Yeah, I think the I guess the thing with the Somerville is, as a fan base, we've not seen any problems. We've not seen any issues with him whatsoever. He's been the ultimate professional. He rejected a bid last summer, didn't he? Or he said didn't want to leave Leeds. Burnley were in for him. I think it was 20 to 23 million quid. They were in for him. Didn't want to leave, which is testament to Cree. And he's never kicked up a fuss. And I compared it to Rafinha the other day because Rafa was he never kicked up a fuss, but there was always murmurs from him and Deco that he wanted to leave for Barcelona. Obviously, his Brazilian stars were there, his heroes, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, amongst others. And we always sort of knew that Rafinha, that was his destination. Didn't want to go to Chelsea, even though Chelsea was a better deal for Leeds United at the time because Bowley had just come in. But overall, it was a deal that was obvious to get done. Somerville, it might be more of a Leeds thing, everybody. He might not be that bothered about going at this stage in his career because he's always going to have those offers. Why? Because he's still going to tear up the championship next season. He's going to develop again. So those offers are never going to go away. So Cree's sitting pretty right now. He's sitting pretty. The only thing that's probably in Cree's head right now is the national side, obviously, of which he's not been able to properly get into. So if he's playing at a higher level, then he's going to be considered a lot more. And maybe that's discussions he's having with the Dutch national side. That would make logistical sense. But he doesn't seem to be kicking up a fuss right now. Can Leeds sell him the project again? But then you are probably looking at a Rutter having to be sold. You are definitely looking at probably a Nonto having to be sold. And it might have to just be a one or the other thing. But then who's going to match Cree's value? Rutter's not. Nonto's not. There's one man who's going to match his fee. And we know who that is. So for me, if one is to stay, the other has to go. And that for me is logic. And we know we're talking about 100% profit. It's Archie Gray. So if one of them is to stay, one of them has to go. Yeah, Leon says hit the likes. Really appreciate that. Hi, Phil. Welcome. Side. There you go, mate. Yeah, exactly, buddy. Exactly. Keep them all. Refuse to cooperate with FFP and get promoted. Well, you know what, Ben? It's not a bad idea, mate. It's not a bad idea, and you feel like with some other clubs at this level, you know, if like Everton were to come down, and would they do the same thing, or would they just go for it? Villa had to go up that season, didn't they? They had to go up because I think they were over the threshold. They managed to go up with Grealish, Abraham, Hurahan, McGinn, and co. You know what side that was at Championship level. So yeah, I am sort of it's sort of upsetting how the Championship and the lower pyramid sort of cuts your legs off really when it comes to keeping some of your better players, and it's disappointing. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people saying maybe potentially you'd be able to sell Meslier, but I don't think there's many clubs looking at him, guys. I really don't. I don't think for that sort of fee either. Simon says, just join, mate. What have I missed? So, yeah, Silas, mate. Silas at Leeds United apparently been blown out the water a little bit by Fulham's valuation of him. They were interested in him. We've spoken a bit about Joe Rodon. Money is a bit of an issue at this moment in time when it comes to it. Alaya Gruev, it looks like Dortmund are still in the picture. There is still mass discourse on the Dortmund forums, BVB Buzz, all those Dortmund sites around Alaya Gruev and them going for him. He might just be there for cover, but they like him. We know that, and that might be the only monetary value that Leeds are looking at right at this moment in time. So, yeah. Got to be careful, Leeds. Got to be careful. But as a fan base, let's not throw our dummies at the pram a little bit and think to ourselves, you know, that's it in terms of if we have to make some movements when it comes to other centre backs and not spending 10 to 15 million quid on wingers. I just don't think it's going to be realistic, to be honest. Paul says, job going in the Athletic covering Leeds now. If you're interested, Connor, I'm not, mate. I am not. I'm very, very much happy with my platform and the journalism world. Maybe one day I'll get back into, but I'm firmly enjoying this at this moment in time. But thank you. Guys, listen, it's been a long one for me. Thank you so much for your support at the start of the video. It's been a bit of a rough couple of days from me, a bit of a rough few days. Life comes at you fast sometimes, doesn't it? So it is what it is. We all get on with it, don't we? So apologies for the lateness of the video. Apologies maybe for the structure bit a bit here and there, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be probably back with a bit of an update later on as well, everybody. But stay tuned with the Rumour Mill. Really appreciate all of your views this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe as always. We'll be back tomorrow with another Room Mill on the live stream, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.